Don't get me wrong. I love being single and I love living alone. It's great. It's fantastic. But fuck, it's expensive.
Americans are so broke and they desperately try to justify their brokenness.
How are people affording life right now? How are people tackling this cost of living on the average American salary?
America is collapsing before our very eyes.
Living in America right now feels like a punishment. You wake up already behind, you go to work just to stay broke, and you watch the cost of everything rise while your paycheck doesn't move an inch.
So they're going to make homelessness illegal when minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour.
So since I'm feeling really irritated, and I have been feeling irritated for 2 days.
So as it turns out, the student loans that I've been paying $1,500 a month for 2 years have a 17% interest rate.
You know what really bothers me about the American economy right now? It isn't just inflation or the price of rent. It's the feeling that Washington always finds money for everything, except the people who actually live here. Every time you turn on the news, there's another multi-billion-dollar package being announced. Billions for defense, billions for overseas aid, billions for strategic partnerships. And somehow, when it comes to things like healthcare, housing, or education, suddenly the nation's broke. Funny how that works, isn't it? Let's start with the basics. America is a $35 trillion debtor. We borrow more money than any country in history. We call it stimulus, investment, relief. Pick your word, but at the end of the day, it's still borrowing. And who carries that burden? Not the politicians who approve the budgets. It's the people earning $15 an hour trying to keep up with eggs at $6 a dozen and rent that's doubled since 2020. When Washington spends, it doesn't ask where the money comes from. It just prints more. The Treasury issues bonds, the Federal Reserve buys them, and the cycle continues. We're told that it's sophisticated economic policy. But if any household managed its finances like the federal government does, we call it what it is, living on credit and hoping the bill never arrives. Meanwhile, wages have barely moved in decades. The federal minimum wage is still $7.25. Even states with higher rates are watching inflation chew away at every raise.
So since I'm feeling really irritated, and I have been feeling irritated for 2 days, I'm going to do another post related to how well we're doing or not doing. How many of you have some kind of medical thing you need to do, but you can't afford it? Just curious. Let's take a poll. How many of you have something that you need to have done that you can't do? I'll go first. I have some kind of thing going on with my right arm, and I most likely probably need surgery because I think it's related to the ulnar or radial nerve, and I can barely raise my right arm. But I also have a shoulder that needs to be replaced, and neither of which I can afford to even go to the doctor to have assessed because I can't afford just the office visit copay, let alone the surgery copay. And then my doctor ordered me one medication recently, which the insurance decided I didn't need and they weren't going to cover, and it's $500 a month. So I had to decline it because I can't afford it. So now it's your turn. What are you not doing?
A single studio apartment in most major cities costs more than a full-time paycheck can cover. The math doesn't work, and everyone knows it. But here's what really gets me. Even while ordinary Americans struggle, our government continues to sign checks for foreign partners. One of the biggest recipients is Israel. Every year, Washington sends roughly $4 billion in military aid there, no questions asked. That's money that could be fixing bridges, upgrading power grids, or building affordable housing back home. Instead, it's locked into defense contracts, most of which go to major U.S. weapons manufacturers, and to sustain operations overseas. Now, I'm not arguing against alliances or security commitments. I understand that geopolitics is messy, and Israel has been a close ally for decades. But there's a serious question of priorities here. How can a country that can't guarantee affordable insulin for its citizens always find billions for fighter jets abroad? It's not just Israel, of course. The U.S. maintains security assistance in over 100 countries. From Eastern Europe to East Asia, we're paying for stability, deterrence, training, and equipment. Each time the same logic appears. It's in America's strategic interest. Yet when you ask what's in the strategic interest of the average family struggling with childcare costs, the conversation goes silent. The uncomfortable truth is that military and foreign aid spending have become untouchable sacred cows in Washington. Democrats and Republicans will fight over social programs or tax policy, but when it comes to writing billion-dollar defense checks, there's near total agreement. The defense industry ensures that. Every major contractor has jobs spread across dozens of congressional districts, which means cutting the defense budget is political suicide. Think about how warped that incentive is. We've built an economy that depends on conflict to create employment. Instead of producing for the future, new energy systems, education, infrastructure, we produce for perpetual war. Politicians call it national security. Investors call it reliable revenue. Ordinary people call it expensive. And while we do that, the basics of American life keep eroding. Rent eats up half of an average paycheck. Health insurance premiums rise faster than wages. Credit card debt has passed $1 trillion. Students are graduating into an economy where owning a home feels like science fiction. But ask Washington to fund a universal pre-K program or a serious housing initiative, and you'll be told there's no room in the budge.
Try to justify their brokenness. I always get Americans tell me, but the people in Mexico, they only make $20 a day. You make $25 an hour and you're still broke. Sure, you drive the newest car, but the bank owns it. It's not yours. Let me see that title. You call yourself a homeowner, but your house is made out of drywall and paper, and you're going to be renting it for 30 years before you even own it. Sure, you went to college, and yeah, sure, you have a degree, but you're going to spend the rest of your life paying for it. Sure, you have the newest iPhone, you have name brand clothing, you have all the nice things, but your credit cards are maxed out. Most of Americans are one paycheck away from being homeless. The United States runs on credit. The United States runs on debt. Americans cannot function without credit. Instead of the United States of America, it should be called the United States of Minimum Payments. But according to Americans, we're the broke ones. But anyways, let me know what you guys think.
Don't get me wrong, I love being single and I love living alone. It's great, it's fantastic, but fuck, it's expensive. I just spent $600 on brakes on my car, just on the front part of the car, because I couldn't afford all four brakes and axles and rotors and whatever the fuck. And then now I just paid my car payment, which is $500, so I just blew $1,100 in like 3 hours, and it wasn't even like fun, you know? Fuck. Sorry, it's just so overwhelming. Like, you work and 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 you work, and it's just to pay off like your basic necessities. And you can't, like, in this city that I live in, public transport, please. If I were to do public transport, it's like asking to get rate, and I really shouldn't be crying because now I have to go to another work event, and now I'm gonna be all puffy. Living is so expensive. Just keeping yourself alive and floating is so expensive. And what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted is if I were to take public transport here, especially for my job requires a car. I have to have a bunch of shit that I have to lug with me for work. And I can't do that with public transport. I'm venting. Inflation sucks. Just living in America sucks. Living alone sucks. It's great, but it sucks. Because you have to front all the expenses by yourself. I need a husband just so that I can live. So we can split the bills.
Meanwhile, interest on the national debt alone now costs more than the defense budget did 20 years ago. That means even if we stopped spending tomorrow, we'd still owe hundreds of billions every year just in interest. It's the equivalent of paying off an old credit card by opening a new one and then handing that bill to your kids. Here's where the disconnect becomes painful. When the government announces another package of aid for a foreign conflict, most Americans don't celebrate. They sigh. Not because we don't care about the world, but because we're exhausted. We see potholes that haven't been filled in years, school systems begging for supplies, small towns losing hospitals, and we can't understand how the richest nation in history can't afford its own foundation. The answer is that Washington's spending priorities aren't based on need, They're based on influence. Defense contractors, lobbying groups, and foreign policy think tanks all have a seat at the table. The single mother working 2 jobs doesn't. The teachers paying for classroom supplies out of their own pockets don't. The workers who can't take a sick day because they lose a week's rent definitely don't. When you trace where every dollar goes, it becomes clear who the system is designed to serve. Aid packages to foreign partners might sound humanitarian, but a huge portion of those funds circle right back into the accounts of U.S. corporations. The money leaves Washington, travels the world, and comes back as profits for a handful of shareholders. It's an elegant loop, profitable, stable, and completely detached from the financial reality of ordinary citizens. I keep asking myself, what's the end game? How long can a country sustain this 2-track economy? One where Wall Street and Washington trade in billions, and another where the middle class drowns in bills. The politicians talk about fiscal responsibility, but responsibility starts with priorities. You can't claim to care about working families when your budget proves otherwise. Look around. Bridges collapsing, public transit outdated, clean water systems failing, entire cities dependent on decades-old infrastructure. We have veterans sleeping on sidewalks, while tax dollars fund bases and equipment thousands of miles away. We have people rationing insulin while defense companies announce record earnings. That's not patriotism. That's policy failure. Even taxes reflect the same imbalance. The middle class pays a higher effective rate than some multinational corporations. Ordinary people see more taken out of each paycheck, while major defense contractors receiving foreign aid-linked deals use loopholes and offshore accounting to minimize their bills. We keep being told to tighten our belts for the sake of national security, but the only ones tightening are the people least responsible for the mess.
So as it turns out, the student loans that I've been paying $1,500 a month for 2 years have a 17% interest rate. So what I thought I've been paying off for all this time, I'm actually, I owe more than what I started off with. What the fuck? So, Jeff Bezos, this would be a really cool fucking time to Venmo me, bro. I owe $90,000, and I didn't even spend that much on school. Any rich person, please tap in. Kourtney Kardashian, you probably have 8 houses. I'm never gonna be able to buy one because I went to college. I just signed up to be an egg donor. Guess what? Got approved. Who wants my fucking kids? I can't afford them, so start a bidding more. Just fucking take them. What do you want? My left arm too? What the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm gonna be in debt for my whole fucking life. How does that even make sense? I signed up for this shit when I was 17. This should not be legal, bro. I got upset about it at work, and my coworker was like, don't you have a rich relative who can pay that for you? No, my family's poor. No. And the worst fucking part is, bro, look where I am. I can't go in because I can't spend money, but I just want to be here because it makes me feel better.
I got a letter recently that my property taxes are going to go up $600 a year from now on. I got a letter that my homeowner's insurance is going up $60 a month. My propane company sent me a letter that my propane is going to double this year. They just came and filled up my tank. It was $1,000. That's crazy. Also, as a entrepreneur and business owner, I get my health insurance through the marketplace. So you have the Affordable Care Act. I pay $45 a month. They just informed me that if this bill passes and I lose my tax credit, I'm going to go from $45 a month to $660 a month for health insurance. I need to buy a new car, and I can't because the cars have gotten more expensive and the interest rates have gotten so much more expensive. I can't find a reliable car that has the same monthly payment of $450 a month that I've been paying now for a new car. Not necessarily new, but new to me. Groceries are insane, and it feels like every day I get a new email from another subscription that I have, whether it's Netflix, my website subscription, everything's increasing in price. And I sit pretty much every day stressed about money, and yet I know that there are so many people in this country that are way worse off than me, and they're not making it, y'all. They're not making it. What hurts me the most is that there are so many women, especially, that just cannot afford to leave abusive homes, and they have to stay in it because of this economy. So are we great again, America? Is this what you voted for? Meanwhile, they all sit there in DC not feeling any of these pressures. not doing anything about it, not giving a shit about the American people. I have been extremely poor and I have been extremely wealthy. And I know from firsthand experience that the wealthy people don't notice it. And most people are pretty self-absorbed and aren't thinking about other people anyway. So we got to talk about this more. We got to raise hell. We have to let DC know that this is not acceptable. Regardless of your party, we have got to help each other.
And here's what makes it truly absurd. Every time we send money abroad, it adds to the deficit, which the government then uses as an excuse to cut domestic programs. It's a self-inflicted wound. We spend ourselves deeper into debt internationally, then claim we can't afford help domestically. The result? A generation that feels betrayed by the very system they were told represented opportunity. People are waking up to it. They're connecting the dots between foreign spending and domestic stagnation. They're starting to ask why the richest country in the world feels broke all the time. And that question, once it spreads, changes everything. Because the truth is simple. America doesn't have a money problem. It has a priority problem. The nation that can find billions for weapons and wars should be able to find billions for its workers, its students, its elderly, and its poor. We don't lack resources. We lack will. When history looks back, it won't just measure GDP or stock prices. It'll ask how a society with such abundance allowed so many to struggle. It'll wonder why we treated working families as an afterthought while applauding every new overseas expenditure. I don't say this as a cynic. I say it because I still believe the country can change course. But change starts with honesty. We have to stop pretending that constant foreign funding makes us safer or stronger. It might make us influential, but it's hollow influence built on borrowed money and borrowed time. If we really want to rebuild the American economy, we have to rebuild American priorities. That means asking hard questions about where the money goes and why. It means demanding transparency for every dollar spent abroad while our own communities crumble. Because at some point, we have to decide what national interest really means. Does it mean securing contracts for defense firms, or does it mean securing a future for American families? Right now, we're funding wars while our own citizens can't afford to live. And until we fix that contradiction,
America is collapsing
no amount of foreign
before our
power will
very
make us
eyes.
truly
Restaurants
strong.
are closing their doors for good in my city at a record pace. They're blaming it on a slow season, but I think it's something else. You can't tell me the amount of abandoned strip malls that I drive by on a daily basis is normal. I know you've seen it too. All these places just get replaced with the capybara cafe de jour or a flower store to placate the masses, if you know what I mean. There used to be 24-hour diners, family-owned restaurants, even bookstores, I don't know, third spaces. Now, nothing. Luxury apartments that sit vacant forever. Grocery stores that have been closed for 10 years. So much wasted space in empty parking lots. Until some TikTok trend comes, opens for 6 months, and then that closes too. I know I'm not alone in this, but yet every single time I bring it up, I get all the bots in my comments telling me the economy's never been better. But I ask for who? Like 100 people at the top? So the billionaires are doing great. I don't care. People like you and me, we're struggling out here. All my friends live in vans. And if we are lucky enough to have apartments or houses, we're living behind locked doors and closed blinds because there's no community here anymore. Restaurants are just the beginning. They're the canary in the coal mine. Once they're gone, so are all of our meeting places, our birthday parties, our community, and third spaces. They're not just a place to buy food. They're a pulse of the neighborhood. And also, as a live singer, something hugely important to my job. I used to sing 5 nights a week. Now, I'm lucky if I can find a Sunday night gig. So I'm just here to say, if this is what a booming economy sounds like, it must be the sound of doors slamming shut. And I don't know about you, but I'm making my exit plan. We're moving to Portugal soon, where they still have cafes and restaurants that people actually go to. If you find that interesting, stick around. Because I can tell you this is not normal. And don't let internet comments gaslight you into thinking it is.
Tackling this cost of living on the average American salary. I just watched a TikTok of a teacher who makes a teacher's salary. I don't know what state she's in, so I don't know how much she makes, but her 1-bedroom apartment is $2,000. And when she spends $2,000 on that 1-bedroom apartment, it doesn't even come with a washer and dryer. So she has to go pay an additional $2 every time she wants to use their washer and dryer. Okay, like, how does that leave her any extra money to spend? And then she said she had a $400 car payment, which some people were bashing her on that. But in today's economy with interest rates, that's really not that bad. And I'm sure she needs a dependable car. So you talk about teacher's salary, $2,000 in rent, $400 car payment. You got insurance, you got groceries, electricity. Like, I don't understand how people are affording life right now, and it really makes me sad for some people. You have people who are like her. She's single, she has her own salary, or families where it just works out best for them for the mother to stay home. And if the father is just making an average American salary, how are they affording life without going in a bunch of debt? This lady who's a teacher started crying because she said she realizes on her salary and where she lives, she will actually end up in more debt. Then, like, she will just continue to accrue more debt and more debt and more debt because her salary is not matching the cost of living. And what's sad is I've seen people be like, just spend less. Listen, guys, the cost of living is rising and our salaries are stagnant, okay? So there's not just spend less. That's not the problem here. The problem is the cost of living is outrageous, and minimum wage in some states is still $7.25. Teachers in some states are still paid a ridiculously low salary, even though their job is super important. I don't know what we can do about this, but I'm just going on a rant because it really, really pisses me off.
I just paid my winter property tax bill. I hate to complain. I don't like being a complainer, but it's $4,875. That's for half of the year. And it goes back to what I say is, like, we don't actually really own this property. We don't. I'm paying discounted rent essentially for the property. It's around $10,000 a year. We're in Okemos, Meridian Township, Michigan, and so I don't know who voted for this over year after year. It goes up every single year by a few $100, and this is where we're at. There's no legal remedies for it. You can request a hearing. They always affirm it. I'm an attorney. I get calls about this. There's really nothing you can do about it. So I don't know. You don't really own property.